Okay. So, I think I'm live. How do I get a link to it? How do I change the resolution? All right. Well, if anybody's watching this, I'm trying to actually figure out how to get the link um, to the stream because I don't actually know how to do that from the dashboard. It's kind of weird that they don't provide you a link right on the YouTube dashboard to send out uh, your stream. Uh, Maybe it's a thing with YouTube Studio. All right, so let's poke Greg and let him know this is live. Man, my mic picks up everything. Oh, somebody showed up. It looks like. Uh,
If anybody shows up, drop me a thing in the chat so I can verify that you can hear me okay.
oh, oops! I think I'm picking up audio here. There we go. I'm gonna have to get another set of headphones so I can hear my own stream without picking up an echo. Streaming kind of requires a few little things I didn't really anticipate. All right, well, uh, don't know who my one viewer is. Two viewers. Oh, I think I'm counting as one. These streams should end up being archived for at least 12 hours. I think I'm probably going to leave the archive up as long as I can, and what I'll probably do is I'll convert the stream itself into a video and just upload them in case we cover anything spicy or whatnot. I know I only got like 5 views on my setup video where I kind of talked about what I'm going to do with this channel. This is mostly going to be like a kind of posterity data retention channel for the most part. I'll probably do some kind of commentary and whatnot. But it's mostly going to be so that as many of the tweets on the Threadnought as possible get stored in a new format. It should also help if anybody later on wants to make like documentaries and stuff about all this crazy drama. The YouTube and Twitch people won't have to sift through the tweets themselves or screenshots. They should just be able to come here and watch a video and get a good access to a lot of the tweets in a lot less time than it would take them to manually sift through the posts themselves. Oh, looks like Greg retweeted. Let me change something here. I don't know if this will happen while I'm... Oops, 1 second. We got a crazy storm here, but I'm still technically on call for work. All my clients canceled their stuff for today, so I may have to stop occasionally and take a call. But I'm gonna do some editing here to the status. I don't know how to update this info in the middle of the stream. We'll see what happens, I guess. Hello, obscure anime guy. I can't see icons, so if you've got like shared icons between Twitter and YouTube, I still won't be able to recognize you. So I'm just gonna give a little summary. Like I said, this is mostly a test stream to see how the mechanics work, see how the video and audio quality is. But it'd be a good time since we've got a new lawyer has appeared in the Vic v. Everybody who said something mean about him, but not really everybody that ever said anything mean about him case. So I'm just going to kind of go over what Greg's saying right now. That one's not actually about the new lawyer. Yeah, that's probably hyperbole. I doubt anybody's going to investigate a tweet at a judge, although if the judge found out about it, he probably wouldn't be super happy. I'm actually doing something very similar to this. The screen you're seeing right now is a 32-inch TV that I'm running Firefox in to do my Twitter stuff. And then on my regular 24, 27-inch monitor, I have my regular Twitter account open, I have Kiwi Farms open, and I have my YouTube management stuff open for the stream. So I can completely sympathize with Radio Free Tom when he talks about the stuff he does on the podcast with Twitter. Let's see. So yeah, we haven't actually gotten to any of the documentation on this on the thread here, but so apparently yesterday in the afternoon, what is it? Beard, Harris, Bullock, and Hughes. I think that's the order their names are. Okay, thank you for telling me that my mic is not loud enough. How's that mic level now? Yesterday, 2 days ago, when I was setting up the stream for YouTube, or the videos for YouTube, I accidentally had my mic as an input twice in OBS, so I was getting this crazy echo, and I was screwed around with my audio settings for hours trying to figure out where this echo was coming from, and then I figured out I had two inputs. So the audio settings are still a little wonky because I haven't reverted them to default yet. Anyway, so there's a new lawyer on the scene, new law firm involved in the case and everything, and for some reason, Blackface Lawyer did not feel the need to comment on it on his show last night, which to me speaks to the confidence they have that this is a good move for the case. Probably, I don't know, it'll probably be an hour before I get there, but I want to go through what the farms are saying on their legal thread, which is kind of the Kiwi Farms version of the Threadnought, because there's a Weeb Wars thread on the farms, but that's mostly just trolls and people kind of just yelling about what they want to yell about, but they actually have a thread specifically to address like the legal issues going on around the case. So anytime you see me talking about Kiwi Farms, I'm going to be pretty much speaking about that thread, because that thread I think shows the best overall example of how that little community there is handling all this various news, because it's kind of fascinating. I think the farms is kind of an interesting, if terrible, place. I don't recommend anybody ever go there. I used to spend a bit of time there myself back when I was a DSP detractor pretty regularly. For anybody who doesn't know who DSP is, it's Darkside Phil. Look him up. He's a real exciting guy. Anyway, we've got a new Threadnought header, I guess. And I really wonder how many of the people involved in the Threadnought are Magic players, because I know I found about half a dozen of us, and I'm betting there's a pretty fair amount. I'm not going to play the audio from this. Well, let me see. Let's see how the audio comes.
Various different levels that exceed the appropriate scope of this reply. That's a dickish line. Plaintiff is rather more akin to Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. This is overplaying his hand. I mean, that is flatly prejudicial to the... So,
it's interesting to note that Blackface Lawyer here has never litigated anything as far as we can tell. Definitely has never litigated a defamation case or anything like that. So, speaking from a position of authority there. I don't know what that is all about. We'll have to look into that later. Like I said, this is mostly a test to make sure everything works. How's the video quality? It looks kind of crappy on mine, but I don't know if that's because it's like double viewing it or whatever. There's some pretty interesting theories going on that this is all 6D chess from Thai, including bringing in the new council. I guess Greg. I didn't notice that Greg was tweeting about random stuff before the new information about the lawyer came out today. Okay, yeah, the video's blurry. Okay, so you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. I don't know if that's an OBS thing or a YouTube thing as far as the blurriness goes. I've got it set to try for... Oh, I know what it was. I was getting a weird notification from YouTube that the resolution didn't match the resolution on my monitor. I don't know. But okay, so I'm going to have to try and get a higher resolution onto the video. Oh, other Greg. I actually have accidentally tagged other Greg kind of once or twice there. Here we go. Let's go ahead and... Oh, this is Firefox. And Firefox hates me. So let's see. They brought in a new lawyer. Let's see what this says. We're going to let that load. So, yep. 5/12 yesterday. Blackface lawyer didn't see. Really, 480p. I don't think I have any kind of restrictions. Normal latency. Let me see. Advanced settings. Should be able to go above 480p. I wonder if it's not because this is a brand new channel and they throttle the consumption or something. Because I had to wait 24 hours to even stream this at all. Honestly, YouTube's dashboard for all this is really terrible for a company that, you know, deals with videos all the time. So yeah, Blackface lawyer didn't feel like mentioning it. This is interesting right here. I'm fairly curious about if Nick didn't know about this change because he's being cut out of the loop, or if he didn't say anything for, you know, to protect Ty from speculation overnight. I actually strongly suspect that Shane may be correct here and that the other partners at Ty's firm finally figured out what the fuck is going on and have decided that they need to cut all this YouTube bullshit out of their $5 million lawsuit that they're busy trying to run here. So let's see what the document actually says. Now comes. I don't know if that's how you normally open with one of these documents here. Now comes. It sounds very dramatic, considering how much the farms are complaining about drama out of the defense lawyers. So there's not much to this document. An Lee Sue, I think you pronounce that Sue. I don't think you pronounce the H. Is now apparently attached to the case as co-counsel. I'm just going to give a quick summary here, but the sorry, I was reading the chat there. What was I saying? Oh, the farms, and I assume Stanvik on Twitter. I don't really see a lot of what they say, but the farms definitely seem to be spinning this as Ty has brought in extra counsel because this is a sign that the second wave of lawsuits is about to kick off. Now, I'm not a lawyer, obviously. Been pretty clear about that, and I'd love to see if any lawyers know about this, but can you just add completely unrelated elements to the suit in the middle of the TCPA hearings? Like they're talking that Ty brought this on Sue guy in to lead the contract to lead a contract lawsuit against Funimation for violating Vic's contract. Just an aside on that, back in February, March, when he first retained Ty, I literally said that I figured he wasn't going to sue for defamation, but that he would have retained Beard Harris, Bullock, and Hughes to handle a contract dispute between himself and Funimation, because that seemed like the most legally plausible avenue for legal action for Vic. We know he had a contractor law, a independent contractor contract with Funimation. We know they terminated that contract at the end of an investigation. And this is Texas, so it's an at-will state. So generally, as far as I understand it, if they don't tell you exactly why you were fired, it's really hard to sue for wrongful termination, unless your contract says that they have to terminate you for cause or something like that, and I don't believe that Vix would have said that. But either which way, at least we know there was a contract, we know the contract was terminated, and there could be some kind of legal argument for they terminated it erroneously or without proper notification, whatever. So it's funny to me that they are now saying that Ty is bringing in outside counsel to help him with what I initially said Ty was probably going to do. Because on Ty's website, they have contract law and things like that listed as specialties. They had it, before this lawsuit, whatever. So it seems like Ty wouldn't need outside counsel to handle contract issues, since, again, that's already listed as one of his firm's specialties. So let's see. There's not a whole lot of responses. People don't seem to feel like this is good on the law Twitter side. I don't think you're right. I don't think Vic has figured out how to split up his assets. I assume that this guy's here to either protect Harris from malpractice, to gather facts in relation to a malpractice issue, or just there to take over the reins because they need to plead something down. Yeah, Paul. That's what I assumed, right? You can't just add new charges. You have to go with whatever's in the initial filing, and if you wanted to add something, you would have to show that it's based on the same cause of action that inspired the original lawsuit, right? So if he showed that, say, Jamie's tweets or Monica's tweets or something like that caused the Funimation to wrongfully terminate his lawsuit, and some of that had come up in discovery, my guess would be that you could petition to have it added to the suit, but it wouldn't automatically be guaranteed. But yeah, my understanding is completely that you can't just, especially at the TCPA dismissal stage, just add new parties to the lawsuit for statements made years before and unrelated to the initial statements. Yeah, it doesn't seem that complicated, unless you are using wishful thinking and, logical biases to justify why your hotshot lawyer in a $5 million lawsuit suddenly needs co-counsel after he completely wrecks his own case. Just an aside, something I've been poking around on Twitter here and there. But so Ty submitted fraudulent documents to the court, as far as we can tell, with those notarized statements. And when he was called on it and his book was requested, his notary book, he, instead of responding to the request, he withdrew the affidavits and resubmitted them as sworn statements as opposed to notarized affidavits. I don't see anything in any of the documentation for notary rules that if somebody requests your book in relation to a document and you withdraw that document, you no longer have to fulfill your the request for your notary book. And like I said, when I get around to doing the a recap of what Kiwi Farms is saying, it's crazy to me that there's a huge number of people in the legal thread they have, and some of these people seem like they have a fairly decent grasp of the law, but they really seem to think that because Ty withdrew those affidavits and resubmitted them as unsworn statements, that the false notarization of the affidavits is no longer moot. And I don't think that's the case at all. I'd have to look up some case law, but I'm pretty sure that submitting fraudulent documents to the court is still submitting fraudulent documents to the court, whether or not you withdraw them. The fact that his amendment that withdrew them violated Rule 63 of the Texas Rules of Civil Procedure probably will not help him in that. This is my favorite possibility. Is that Vic has found out about all of this and suddenly is very upset with Ty because, and this was in my video or my picture thread, but somebody, hold on, I am getting a call. I'm going to have to pause the audio here for one moment. Having a business line sucks because you cannot stop the robocalls with the do not call list at all, and my screening software only gets a certain percentage of them. Oh look, there's another one. One more pause, folks. Oh, you know why the resolution might be bad? Because we are having a real bad storm today, and I think my upload speed is fairly low. OBS seems fine. I'm getting no drop frames. Everything's running super smooth in OBS. Man, what was I saying? So, yeah, they seem to really think that if he just withdraws the affidavits, that wow, it's fine because nobody was damaged, except the law that I've read, and I'll have to pull up some screenshots here, but the law I've read on the whole fraud upon the court thing is that the court themselves are the damaged parties, and the way it's worded is that a notary falsely notarizing a document is treated as though an attack upon the validity of the entire judicial system, because a lot of the judicial system runs on trust. And it's impossible to completely verify a lot of things. So things like notary stamps and sworn statements and things like that. Even trying to present something like that is, as far as I understand, considered a fraud upon the court and is sanctioned as such. It also seems though like the sanctions are generally, in terms of what it does to the case itself, it's mostly just you strike the offending materials from the case, and then that leaves the offending lawyer later open for judicial sanctions that are unrelated to sanctions related directly to the case. Yes, Paul, exactly. They're completely ignoring the fact that the farms, like I said, I'll get into this in a little bit. Well, fuck it. The Twitter stuff's still kind of progressing, and I don't want to try to live stream a live tweet. It's going to be super confusing. I'm just going to be reloading all the time. So I know that Mike at Quest Authority over there is talking about it right now. I'm sure Greg is actively talking about it. Like I said, on these streams, I don't want to try to keep up with. Let's go back. I think 68 is the start of Nope. So we're going to go to 70. So 70 is yesterday evening. Page 370, yesterday evening. We got here, this is an instance where the integrity of the court is threatened by the behavior of an attorney. That's what the laws and the statutes around the notaries seem to indicate, that a notary behaving unethically is taken as an assault on the entire court. Yeah, no, it's fine, Paul. I've never streamed before, really, so I don't mind trying to get used to watching the chat. Like I said, this whole YouTube's setup is pretty terrible. I might actually move over to Mixer. I might do Mixer and YouTube, because Mixer is a much better system for streaming. But I know that a lot of the people following this probably aren't that into the tech edge and stuff like that. So they probably don't have Mixer accounts. So I'll probably, even if I did use Mixer, I would at least put the videos over here. But yeah, this the dashboard for YouTube streaming is terrible. Yeah, so these guys, yep, Lemoyne, is that Lemoyne? I haven't heard his name spoken, so I don't know how to pronounce it. They insist that the picture of two people is not Chris, even though one of the two is Chris. Apparently having somebody else in a picture with you means that you are not in the picture anymore. See, this is probably true from what I would guess. Like, I wouldn't think that the people involved in the affidavits would really suffer any kind of consequences for the false notarization. Maybe they will. If anybody knows anything about false notarization things, I'd love to hear about it. But I don't think that they would be liable for too much there, because Ty's the agent of the court. He's the one that signed documents saying that he understands how notaries work and that there's legal consequences for violating his oath of office as a notary. Yes, this is all true. Sean has a very good point, and it's pretty clear. This is so insane, I don't believe he actually believes this. I mean, you can believe that. If that's true, I don't know why Ty wouldn't have immediately just turned over his book to make the entire defense team look like shit, because it would make them look like shit if he just turned over the book. I'm also curious about if the judge is going to request Ty's notary book, because I feel like he might be curious about the whole thing. It'd be real interesting if Ty just brought the book. Why would you say? Because it's not stupid, and it's a good point. Apparently, he's the desperate one, not the person filing fraudulent documents to the court. So Imperial Agent here, I don't know if he's going to stumble across my streams or videos. Yeah, Spacebird, I agree. Honestly, I mean, probably the affidians, I don't know, the people in the affidavits, they may or may not have been like signed some document that said that they were, in the presence of the notary or whatever. But in any case, I mean, they would just say, my lawyer told me to sign this paper, so I signed it. And I can't imagine any court really giving them too much shit, considering how bad Ty has been behaving in all this. Like I was saying, Imperial Agent here seems pretty logical. I think he kind of colors his arguments affiance. Is that affiance? Okay, that's... I've read the word, I've never pronounced it, so I'm going to say affiance for now. Affiance? Anyway, Imperial Agent here seems pretty logical, pretty reasonable. He's got a lot of doubts about Ty. He's really been hammering these guys. This is the exact sort of thing I used to do when I participated in the Kiwi farms because, like I said, I was a DSP detractor. And this is what I would do. There's a lot of crazy people, but you try and put the information out there. You try and show them the logic, and you give them the data, and you hope that they're going to, be intellectually honest and upright. They are not. I spent about a year interacting with Kiwi farms in the less offensive threads. The DSP thread is really nowhere near the kind of crazy like hate that happens on these smaller threads. So it took me a while to actually get into these and notice how bad this website is. I don't recommend anybody ever engage with any of these people whatsoever. Maybe I'm a little hypocritical for putting them on a stream, but I think the historical significance of kind of watching a website that's involved itself pretty extensively into a lawsuit has some value. Maybe I should figure out how to like blur their names, like put a blurry stripe over here on the side or something. But yeah, see, so this is very true. This is the kind of statement that makes me say that this guy here, Imperial Agent here, should probably just leave the farms and stop associating with people, because there are perfectly good communities where you can have logical, thoughtful debates with people that aren't just hate and cheerleaders. Yes, this is a fair point. If it was the plan, why would you backtrack and fix it? I don't know if that's being sarcastic, but yeah. Let's see. I believe this is their way of getting around some hate language stuff. We're not going to talk about what that word is supposed to be, but that is a slur, I believe. So, not approved or condoned by my historical record keeping here. So I too would like if they would talk about the TCPA. Because I'm actually curious about how it stands on the merits of that. I don't think they're going to get to it. Not with this new lawyer being added into the mix. I do not think that just because it has no significant material impact on the case that they're just going to ignore it and move on. I don't have a lot of experience with judges, but I can't imagine judges like it when somebody tries to lie to them. And the fact that Ty's notary book was requested before he tried to withdraw them really kills his potential argument that, we knew they were wrong, they accidentally got sent. I mean, you should never have created those notary documents in the first place. And the fact that they were sent and then 2 days after your notary book was requested, they were withdrawn. You've got no ignorance defense left. You've really got nothing. Still wondering when he's going to turn over his book. Let's see. Got a little timeline here. This is another good point here. This guy, my only real issue with Imperial Agent's reasoning in most of these posts is that he seems to give any kind of credit to blackface lawyers' legal theories and statements, because I mean, he doesn't have the requisite experience to really speak authoritatively about these sort of issues. Let's see. Somebody sent me a message. This is a little summary here of what's been going on as far as the thread and the notary stuff. This is what I was talking about here, guys. I've never seen any documentation that supports this kind of claim here. I'd be curious if anybody does have some kind of site or case or anything that that says if you submit fraudulent documents to the court and you withdraw them after opposing counsel calls you on it, that it's fine. That's pretty ridiculous. This is actually this is a good post that kind of represents the whole Kiwi Farm thing, in my opinion. So right now they're talking about how Jamie is talking about it's a fraudulent declaration, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It's definitely hearsay. I don't think there's a single point of fact that's actually in Huber's affidavit. The only thing I can think of is like he can testify conclusively that 3 or 4 voice actors at different times said disparaging things about Vic, but you know that's it for his whole thing, and that's not even part of the case. Let's see what's Paul got going on here. Yeah, no, that's exactly right, Paul. I was actually recording this. My other Twitter handle is Jarlant, by the way. So y'all might have seen my thread where I was posting screenshots from the farms, kind of tracking their progression of how they felt about Ty, as the fallout was happening a couple days ago, and yeah. Blackface Lawyer goes on stream and gives them a bunch of just really bad excuses, but it's just enough for them to headcanon their own reality around the bare bones story that Nick gave them. But you know that's going to hit a brick wall once shit starts happening, and once consequences for Ty's incompetence really start to play out. I was honestly expecting to see more of them doubtful because of the added counsel, but so far today I haven't really seen that. They seem pretty confident that this new lawyer is there for the second round of lawsuits, which it's crazy. They have been talking about the second round of lawsuits ever since Ty was hired. Yeah, Spacebird, there's a lot of confirmation bias. I would say probably about a third of the people on the farms also don't argue in good faith, even with their own kind. Like, a lot of them there are just there to shit on everything all the time. So they'll take a pro-Vic position when it looks like Vic's doing good, because that gives them a better position to shit on the defense. If the plaintiffs falter, they'll just switch sides and shit on the plaintiffs just as happily, because Kiwi Farms exists just to shit on people that they feel like are making fools of themselves in public. You guys probably aren't that familiar with the farms, but one of their rules, and they actually talk about it in this thread. We might see a post or two about it. I don't know if it's before or after this. But one of the Kiwi Farms users was actually temporarily banned from the site for participating in the Twitter discussion directly in a way that could lead back to the farms. Because they have a saying, don't touch the poo. In theory, people from Kiwi Farms are not supposed to actually involve themselves in the drama. It's a very, very strange, because, I mean, they definitely make sock puppets and go on Twitter, and you know, they're a good chunk of the Stanvik mob, I'm pretty sure.
So this is completely glancing over. This is completely glancing over the Rule 63 violation, which says that he can't amend a filing within 7 days of the trial without leave from the judge. Oh,
Paul, you got auto-screened for talking about how terrible they are. Yeah, it's real bad.
Yeah, Kiwi Farms is. I think Kiwi Farms is worse than the Chans in a lot of ways because they really preen about their supposed moral superiority with their "don't touch the poo," we're all pieces of shit here, everybody is fair game. Most of the people in the Chans, I feel like, just admit that they're just there. They're just fucking assholes, and they're a troll. They don't act like they're better than most people. So yeah, in a lot of ways, I think the Farms is worse than the Chans, even though the Farms, for the most part, are pretty ineffectual. I mean, they tried to dox me a month ago, maybe now, and they managed to get my Facebook profile, which isn't hidden at all. I use my real name on my Twitter. Like, it's not hard to figure out who I am, and, you know, nothing really happened. The Kiwi Farms basically exists because of Darkside Phil. And last time I looked, which was months ago, though, his thread on the Farms had 15 million views and something like 6,000 pages of posts. And they've never done fuck all to him in the real world. Somebody sent him some shit one time. They send him some troll tips on Twitch. They report him to Twitch and YouTube when he does stupid shit. But, I mean, 90% of the activity on the Farms involves Darkside Phil, and nothing happens. So for the most part, they're neutered. The real danger of the threat of the Farms, I believe, is when dangerous actors use them as a resource. We got us another call here. I'm going to have to pause. All right, back again. Somebody that was talking about having their computer fixed realized their computer's 10 years old and they should probably buy a new one. Which I heartily agree with. Just as a kind of professional aside here, if your computer is more than 7 years old, you should probably buy a new one or just start replacing pieces en masse. And yes, Spacebird, I agree. They basically fit, most of them basically fit all the criteria for a cult. The fact that the Rissenbull Rangers called Vic the Führer is real telling. Another interesting thing about the Kiwi Farms thread is that the Kiwi Farms have been calling Sean Lemoyne, whatever, they've been calling him the Führer now. And I think that's a specific disinformation op to try and change the narrative from the fact that Vic allowed himself to be called the Führer by his fan club for years. And as far as I know, it's like he never played a Führer character, as far as I know. I think it's just a reference to a character he didn't even play in Full Metal Alchemist, I think, unless I missed something. Yeah, his mom supposedly started it. I don't know the timeline on that, but yeah, the word is that his mom is the one that started the Führer thing, which from everything I've seen, his mom's a real piece of work, and it's kind of not surprising that Vic has turned out to be what he is. From all of the stuff I've seen that she's written on the internet. So yeah, let's see. This guy found us the calendar of events for tomorrow. 9:30, we've got Not Our Case. That must be something they really expect to knock out quick. They're only setting aside 30 minutes for that before Ty and Jim show up. Yeah, Spacebird. I have noticed that basically anybody of that generation that uses the internet is almost always just like a terrible, terrible person. I don't know what it is, but almost everybody of that age I know that uses the internet is just, they say the craziest stuff. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. So it looks like they're blocking off 3.5 hours for the hearing tomorrow, because we got 10:30 to 1, or 10 to 1:30. Now I don't know when they made the schedule, so I'm not sure how that's gonna work. Jason, yeah, okay. I've got the profanity filters on because I suspect that eventually Stan Vic may see this and show up and try to troll us. But as a former detractor, I've seen it all, guys. So I'm not really worried about it. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Paul, okay, I get what you're saying on that earlier case. So it's multiple defendants in a case trying to split it up, and it's basically all done. Just the judge just needs to say yay or nay. Man, it's still 30 minutes. I guess courts have to operate on pretty tight timelines, so they get used to just popping through those if they can. So this seems like, I'm not sure where Skeet and Yeet settles on all this thing. They kind of jump around in terms of logic and fair arguments. This is what I'm talking about. This is a case of just trying to come up with any kind of crazy excuse you can. They are just theory crafting reasons that Ty didn't break the law. I mean, this is all 4 or 5 arguments I've seen for them already. This is it right here, all summarized. They just make shit up, and then that's what it was. Ty didn't know that notaries had to be in front of you. Ty may have believed he was able to do online notary. So their defense of charges of fraud is basically he's so incompetent that it can't be fraud, which I don't think is a great argument for your lawyer to make. No clue. This is a site here to where Nick basically says that there's no online notary thing going on. Urban Mech, if you read this, here's something interesting. Ty hasn't said anything. Ty has not disputed that the notaries were false. He has not turned over his notary as he's required. As far as we know, Ty hasn't responded to any questions about the notaries. So when one of the parties isn't denying that something happened, we are not obligated to presume that nothing happened. It's not a he said, she said sort of situation, because Ty isn't saying that he didn't do it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Paul. Nobody was harmed. Well, the court is harmed by lying with the notary stamp. That's they don't have to prove damages to the defendants to sanction Ty for creating false notaries and submitting them to the court. Techno-primitivist, from what I understand, is mostly in agreement with us. He doesn't think they have a good case, and he thinks Ty is fucking it up. This is a pretty good. How long has this guy been around? So this is probably a Threadnoughter. This is probably one of us, would be my guess, because this is solid. Yeah, like, what do you say about that? Ty hasn't responded. So I don't know how you're going to get around that. This entire post, he does quiet for quite. So if that bothers you, you're going to have a real hard time with this post. He should not be surprised at the level of fanboyism, though. For all the Farms pretends to be neutral, the Farms is not neutral. They pick a side and they stick with it real hard. Eventually they may flip, but it's not an honest flip based on reason. It's just they got tired of the one and they're now going after the other. I should have read this. He's covering it all. These are all the people that can be damaged by a false notary. This is everybody who can be listed, and it's basically everybody. Yeah, okay, Spacebird. Yeah, I'm gonna try and do them as my schedule and stress levels permit. I've had a couple of freakouts because, there's a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stress in my regular life, and then too much engagement with these Standvik guys can. Man, it can really get you riled up there. Not exactly angry, but it puts you on edge just dealing with them all the time, especially if you directly engage them and you don't just kind of mock them. I should probably stop directly engaging them so much now that Greg is there to pull aggro for me. What I was doing for a long time is what Greg's doing now. Is you try to pull their attention off of the people that are really getting it. When I started, it was mainly because they were coming after Mars Girl, and she'd already gone through all this crazy shit with Change the Channel last year, and she had to go fight another horde of online trolls 5 months after that kind of died down. Yeah, I don't recommend trying to run interference on these guys. They are relentless. If you are going to do it, it helps to have backup. So I'm ultimately real glad that Law Twitter came, because it was tough when it was just, half a dozen people really dealing with it, and then just any random people that showed up trying to support the victims a lot of times would just be harassed out immediately. Oh, Paul. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. Dealing with these guys would be way better than dealing risk management around Brexit, because how do you even do risk projections when, fuck, dude, who knows what the situation is going to be tomorrow? Like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, oh, I guess I'll just redo all that math. Holy shit. I can't even imagine doing that. It sounds like Boris finally overplayed his hand, though, so that might put you guys on a fairly predictable trajectory now. Well, you have to have a meeting every time something happens, right? Like, okay, they're proroguing Parliament for extra weeks How does that change the probabilities of a no deal? You know. So okay, and then 3 days later. Geez, I'm crepes. Yeah, like 3 days later, the whole government collapses. Like, British politics are weird. Uh, they seem to alternate between incredibly boring and incredibly exciting. Whereas American politics just kind of have this kind of low, ridiculous level going on. Anyway, this guy is making a pretty strong argument. Here, don't believe Ty. Do not fanboy Ty. This is. I wish they actually would read this. I actually used to. I was watching Leonard French for this. I don't remember. Maybe there was another wave of it or something that got Leonard, some shit for something. I don't remember Leonard doing anything wrong. I quit watching Leonard because he started to be a little SJWs stuff, and if I'm watching a YouTube lawyer, I really don't want politics to be involved either which way, but particularly not complaining about a focus group that didn't include men. Yeah, I completely agree with this. We're getting a little bit of hate on Nick. I suspect there's a good little contingent. I suspect there's a good little contingent on here that know that Nick is just a grifter, and they're ready for him. I mean, this is the only person I've actually seen calling him out for his grift, but I suspect that a good chunk of the farms knows this about Nick, and as soon as he fucks up, they're gonna eat him alive, because they ain't got no loyalty if they think it's gonna be funny to ruin your life. And Nick's life actually revolves around this shit. So it's like Tug got doxxed by his wife, and then he confirmed it, and then he went crazy, and they've completely abandoned Tug. And I haven't looked at his metrics. I'll check that later when I end this stream. But Tug losing the farms and some of those right-wing groups, that ruins his YouTube career. It's going to just kill his entire fan base. And the same thing could happen to Nick. If the right people on the right forums and in the right threads turn on Nick, his fans are not loyal to him. They came to him from Comicsgate and Gamergate and all that shit. They were pointed to him from Yellow Flash and I don't remember the other ones, but they were pointed to him from those people. So they really don't have a lot of loyalty to Nick, and I don't know if he knows that. I suspect he does. That's why he just kind of laid low about the new lawyer thing yesterday. I think he knows that, and I think he's really in a tough position now where he has to thread the needle between telling them that Ty is a moron and got himself at risk of sanctions. And at the same time, he kind of needs Ty, because without the inside information and the friendly relationship he has with the plaintiff's counsel, Nick's metrics would really take a huge hit. So Nick has put himself in a bad spot now that Ty is fucked up, because he can't throw Ty under the bus. And if Ty ends up really, everybody turns on Ty, they're going to turn on Nick if he doesn't throw him under the bus. So it's pretty interesting, I think. Yeah, they all talked about it. They would have made their own motion. Why would they make their own motion? That Sean's motion was good. Wrong. That's just factually wrong. Short of a tire fire. Oh, that's interesting. Is that why that motion to dismiss Funimation's evidence got
overruled real fast. See, this guy, this guy just... He doesn't want to believe that notaries are official agents of the court and that defrauding, by that creating false court documents is a crime. Like, it's crazy. It's not crazy. They just, they want to believe it. So they theory craft themselves an explanation. They are really caught up on this idea that Sean is charging them with criminal fraud. He's more from notifying the court that he suspects fraud has been committed and is recommending that the court look into it, from what I understand. Yeah, Paul, that's... have you seen the metrics for Blackface Lawyer's channel? He was completely flat for years. Completely flat for years. Until late in December, when he started picking up this Vic story. And his subscribers and his view count have, they've gone up an order of magnitude. Maybe 2 orders of magnitude. And yeah, this case is his entire YouTube career. And he's going to have to try to transition to a new thing. I don't know that he'll be able to do it. I doubt he'll find anything that's going to help him the way this has. He's not going to find another lawyer willing to come on his streams and talk about the $5 million lawsuit they're filing, which I just want to say that's crazy to me. If Vic knew that his lawyer was going on streams and drinking whiskey and talking about the case, that's insane to me that you would let your lawyer do that. And if Vic didn't know he was doing that, isn't that malpractice? That sounds like something you would need permission from your client to go do. Oh yeah, they threatened me a couple times. They threatened Mars Girl for a long time. They were, she was the one they were threatening with lawsuits first. They really insisted that creating the KickVic hashtag is defamation. And I would actually kind of like to see that go to court. I would never want Kaylin to be sued. I just want that to be clear. I would never, ever, ever, ever want her to be sued over some bullshit like this. Because she has enough shit going on. She doesn't need that. But I would like to see how a court handles somebody trying to say that a KickVic hashtag is defamation. I feel like a judge would feel that is like just stupid and petty, and why are you filing a goddamn lawsuit about this? Concern trolling. That's what they call sea lioning here, I think. I prefer sea lioning. Considering sea lining is one of their own tactics, it's funny when they complain about it. Mistakes in pretrial don't end things. I'm not a lawyer, but I am pretty sure that is wrong. Yeah, summary. Yeah. This is, bro. Most cases don't go to trial. I was reading something that's like 90-something% of cases filed don't go to trial. So I'm pretty sure that's completely wrong. This is also technically right. I don't think that this first part here is actually how the judiciary views their role as far as I understand. From what I understand, Chup's job is to decide if this case has merit, and if it has merit, to present it to a jury. I mean, technically, you could say that this second clause here covers that, but that's a deceptively worded way to present that. The judge's job is to determine if the case has merit, and if it has merit, to give it to a jury and to make sure that the trial is fair and evenly conducted. This, I don't think there's anything in any U.S. case law or legal ethics that implies that the judge's job is to correct mistakes, not punish mistakes. Well, isn't the TCPA challenge, that's a preliminary assessment of merit, right? Like, that's the... Oh, no, well, I guess not, right? Because he's got to rule if the cases fall under this TCPA first, right? That's the stage we're at. He's going to rule if each of the 4 defendants is covered by the TCPA. Then he'll decide on the TCPA, like, if whether it has merit. But no, yeah, his job is not to push it in front of a jury if possible. His job is to look at the facts and determine what should be done. Yeah, that's one of the things. If Vic was defending himself, or not defending himself, if Vic was representing himself, which I feel like they would have probably dismissed the case because he's unqualified, but if Ty was just some rinky-dink, like if it was Nick up here making these arguments and doing this lawsuit, if it was Nick with his very little experience, the judge might be like, shucks, man, you're trying real hard, but you're really not very good at this. No, Ty is a partner at a reasonably sized law firm, who, let's remember, one of his partners is a prominent state senator in Texas. His partner actually drafted some of the new legislation that went into effect. I think he was a co-sponsor on some of the TCPA changes, actually, from what I hear. I'd have to read up on that. But yeah, from what I understand, one of Ty's partners, Senator Sean Hughes, I think, I don't remember his first name. Senator Hughes, I tag his Twitter sometimes. From what I understand, he was a co-sponsor on the TCPA changes that went into effect this week. So, and then you couple that with their sanctions before for willfully creating false subpoenas and issuing them out. You don't get any benefit of the doubt unless the judge is pretty corrupt, which, I mean, it could be. I've never seen anything that would imply that Chup would be biased in any way, even if he did have some kind of bias. It's hard to bias your way past this case, man. Friday, all right, so sort of correct. Friday is when Make or Break begins. Make or Break will be for sure 1 month after that. Probably won't decide for weeks unless Ty's. This is only true if Ty's case isn't as bad as we think it is. I could see the judge looking at this and just throwing the whole fucking thing right in his face. I don't know that it would take him weeks to decide whether or not this all has merit. Ty didn't make a lot of arguments at the end of the day. He did not make a lot of arguments. He didn't have a lot of citations that would need researching. So I don't know. I'm not sure that it's going to take very long. So where are we at here? We're still yesterday evening. Oh man.
Oh yeah, this is where they talk about. I should screenshot this. This is where they talk about. This is where they talk about how this is going to destroy Funimation and get Toei to pull the Dragon Ball license, because that's not going to happen. Nobody gives a shit about your stupid audio logs. That's going to blow over in a couple of weeks, because guess what? None of the people you're talking about are going to keep talking about it, and it's the internet, and everybody will forget, and we'll just move on. That's true, Paul. It's very true that the judge may want to put thought into how he wants to shit on Ty for this debacle of a case. I hadn't really thought about that. I could see you wanting to take a week or two to really, especially with the defense putting in some pretty good zingers into their pleadings. I could see you not wanting to be upstaged by the defense counsel's pleadings. When, this could make it into law schools. It's definitely going to make it to some water coolers. Especially if there's some high sanctions. Which I don't know how they treat previous sanctioning in terms of determining how bad your sanctions are going to be, but it's not gonna help. I can't imagine. Since the whole point of sanctions is to discourage further behavior like that. It'll either be Toei or Sony. Sony is Funimation. Sony bought Funimation last year. That's why Vic got fired, by the way. Anybody paying attention that doesn't know this. Vic got fired after Sony took over, because the VAs had complained about Vic to Funimation management before, and they never did anything about it because he was friends with them. And Sony took over, and Sony, being a giant multinational corporation, does not want sexual harassment lawsuits, so they have procedures and policies in place. And really, anything that even smells like legitimate harassment is going to get you fired unless you have a good contract, because it's not worth the risk to Sony. A voice actor is easily replaced, and if there's even a 20% chance that he has tried to commit sexual assault, or has laid hands on his coworkers, or hits on underage fans, Vic's not worth anything to Sony. They don't give a shit. They can replace. They've replaced the voice actors on Dragon Ball, like some of them 5 or 6 times, because it's been on for 30 years. You just replace voice actors. So like the idea that Sony somehow is upset about this. No, Sony knew this was going to happen. Sony put out a whole thing last year talking about how they aren't going to put up with sexual harassment stuff, and how they're going to proactively try and tackle it. And I think Sony is happy with this lawsuit, because anybody who tries to say that Sony, if anybody is like, Sony is a sexist company and they protect abusers, and they let their employees do things to their other employees, or they let employees that prey on fans, work on their projects. Well, shit, Sony's got a whole lawsuit right here where they're like, no, look, guys, this sex pest came for our people, and we, because Funimation could have filed separately from these defendants and just cut them loose and settled for probably for $50,000 or something and just walked away from the whole thing. But no, they went into the proceedings with a joint defense and collaborated with their independent contractors, which they are not required to do in any way. They've been helping out the voice actors in terms of like the defenses working together,
And so, you know, if somebody tries to come at them saying that they're a sexist organization, they've got this whole lawsuit where they stood up for sexual assault victims and sexual harassment victims. And, you know, whether they are legitimately good or not, I mean, they're too big of a company to ever say they're good. It's a good PR move, especially since the odds are, I think, that, you know, Vic's going to end up paying the legal bills anyway. So I think in the long run, it's a strong PR move that really gives them, you know, like a foundation to say that, no, we're on the right side of all this stuff. So, yeah, Sony came in, Sony fired him, and now Sony is defending the voice actors that are under attack, in effect, in a lot of ways. So, man, I guess that just turned into a little, I guess Sony's not so bad sometimes, but, you know. That makes me feel dirty to even say that, but it is what it is. I got to give people credit when they're do the right thing, even if it's for PR reasons. Yeah, there really hasn't been anyone making a big deal of the filing late outside of Law Twitter. I mean, nobody, even Law Twitter didn't actually make a big deal about it. We just made fun of him because it's super stupid to get a real long extension and then file late anyway. Technically, this is true, but there could be a state bar that gets involved. There could be some kind of, there's like an ethics board or an ethics panel or something that can be involved in this. No. If anything, this is evidence that he knew they were fraudulent, and it's an attempt to cover up a crime. If anything, it's bad for him that he tried to withdraw and replace the affidavits. It definitely kills any aw shucks, I didn't know that was a mistake, Your Honor. Since, let's remember, when he filed to withdraw the affidavits and replace them, he didn't say, oh, I messed up the notarization. He didn't, mea culpa. So, yeah, I think if anything, that's an attempt at a cover-up. It's a bad attempt at a cover-up, but it was a bad attempt at fraud, too. Freedom Fries, you're a Threadnoughter? Maybe a Threadnoughter. He's been around for a long time. He makes some solid points, though. Yeah. You would definitely. So a couple people were on Twitter today saying that it would be borderline malpractice to not address the late filing and the notary stuff, and I would be inclined to agree. It seems like missing obvious actions from the plaintiff's counsel that are in violation of agreements and court rules is the sort of thing you should mention. Maybe they were a little hyperbolic, but I don't think they were. Ty took a specific action that he knew was fraudulent to create documents, and then he presented those documents to the court. There's no accidental to any of that. He did it on purpose, and I think it's fraudulent. I don't think there's any gentler way to put it. That is very reductionist, and that is sort of true. What you're missing is that the notary is an officer of the state and an officer of the court, and so they are speaking for the state of Texas. They are speaking for the Texas judicial system. So when a notary lies about the fact that this person did in fact sign this document, they are causing the entire state of Texas and the entire Texas judiciary system to lie. It's at least how I understand the way that the state views these sorts of things. So it's not about, it's really not about what's in the affidavits at all. None of that's relevant. The creation of the false notary stamp is the issue. They could have been on a blank sheet of paper and it wouldn't matter. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with this.
I don't even know it. This Legionnaire guy is really in Ty's corner, but I don't know what the fuck that is about. This is once again them acting like they have ideals and morals on the farms. They do not have ideals and morals on the farms. So but they don't. That's just it's virtue signaling in the truest sense. You know how projection works. The only people I've ever seen virtue signal are people like the farmers and Stanvik. Sorry, I had to type out a message there. Virtue signaling, not true. They are very often censored and or dogpiled. The moderators do, to a degree, keep it from being too bad for regular users, but still. Alright, so getting some messages here. So let's see what this says. So this is probably the best argument that Ty has. It's not a good one. If he doesn't want to just tell the truth and admit to committing fraud, and mea culpa, that's probably his best bet. Just be like, look, I fucked up. I did it. I don't know what to say. It was dishonest. It was wrong. I did it. I'll accept whatever sanctions you specify without protest. That would probably be his best bet. But pleading incompetence rather than intent to fraud may protect him. I don't think it will, since the firm, and I believe Ty was named in that, since they've been sanctioned for very similar behavior before. I don't think that it was an accident is going to work. Okay, technically this is true. That's called colorful language, and it's a indirect reference to Rule 63 about how plaintiff's counsel is not supposed to amend filings within 7 days of the hearing without leave from the judge. And just because the motions weren't filed, that doesn't mean work wasn't done. At least one of the defendant's documents actually points out that it's going to take them a couple days to respond to the second amended pleading, because they spent the whole weekend working, assuming that the initial filing was the one they were going to be responding to. And since it was 1,200 pages, they put a lot of time and effort into the response. And so they're basically said, we're just going to kind of merge the two, because, he filed this amendment after we had already put in 3 or 4 days of work, and he didn't ask for leave to file the amendment like he was supposed to. So we're trying to get that thrown out. So Urban Mech, just so you know, from my research, says that if a lawyer submits a fraudulent document to the court, the recommended penalty is to have those documents stricken from the record and denied in their attempts to be added into the case. Whether it would get the case thrown out, from what I understand, as long as the court didn't think Vic was involved in the deception actively, they would be disinclined to just dismiss the case out of hand just on those grounds, because they don't want to punish the plaintiff or the client because it's defense or plaintiff on that. They don't want to punish the client if the client ended up with an incompetent or corrupt lawyer, from what I understand. He does basically just go after Ty. I mean, he says that he mentions that the affiants. I keep wanting to put. I want to say like officiant, but it's affiant. He does imply that the affiants were involved, but I don't know that he directly accused them of knowingly defrauding anybody. They could have just, like I said, I think if they said, well, my lawyer told me to sign this piece of paper, so I signed this piece of paper, they're going to be pretty safe. Because it's pretty reasonable for your lawyer that's being paid $250,000 to just kind of sign the documents he tells you to sign. It's not a great idea, but I think it would be pretty believable. It's weak reasoning for something that was always already withdrawn. That withdrawing it, cake is just okay, does not undo the fraud. The fraud is with the creation of the documents themselves. A desperate act. It's an act that the defense is basically obligated to take if they don't want to be sued by their own clients later. If anything, it's good for Ty because that's just one less thing to deal with in appeals. Anyway, if they didn't bring it up now, when the case inevitably gets appealed, it would definitely be brought up in the appeal. So, if anything, it's probably better for Ty to get it out of the way now if, as you believe, there's nothing wrong with what Ty did. They got an appeal avenue knocked out before the TCPA hearing. Good. Ty should be thanking the defense, honestly. See, saying it was an error in form does not mean you didn't commit a crime. I don't think false notaries are an error in form either. Resubmitted. Yeah, that's true. This part here. There's nothing fraudulent about the document other than the fact that it was made fraudulent by the notarization. The issue there is kind of be, well, I don't even know if that's true because from what we were looking at, there were some paragraphs missing out of the Huber statement, and I'm curious as to what was in those paragraphs. I don't think that was. I'm pretty sure that was a picture of Chris, but okay. So this whole thing right here, basing his pleading on a picture of someone who's not Chris. No, he's basing his pleading on Chris on the fact that Chris has said that he was in San Antonio for the weekend. He publicly stated his intention to be in San Antonio for the entire weekend. But more importantly, Ty has still not denied the allegation that the notaries were false. So, once again, if somebody accuses you of doing something and you don't say that you didn't do it, people are not obligated to treat it as though you didn't do it, like to give you the benefit of the doubt if you won't even say that you didn't do it. Yes, complaining about bad behavior on the other side is a legitimate portion of defense attorney's work. Probably the biggest in a lot of cases. Especially when you're dealing with slap stuff. Like, literally, uh, that's one of the reasons that slap laws even exist. So, yeah. I don't know that I agree with this. The majority of the lawyers I seem to have run into online seem perfectly reasonable. It's only YouTube lawyers that really seem to be a problem. And even then, legal seems cool. But he, notice he doesn't really engage directly with his fans, and he's very neutral about everything. I'm a big fan of his, actually. Um, Note that Ty did not complain about much more serious misconduct by the defendants. I don't know what they're talking about here, because the misconduct they always talk about is the defendants not turning over all of the requested discovery materials. But Ty most certainly did complain about that. He filed motions to compel them to turn it over, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not really sure what misconduct they think the defendants have made that Ty hasn't complained about. Oh, yeah. He mentions in a letter. Uh, the Yeah, that's right. He was threatening to pursue sanctions for them for filing the supplements to for filing the supplements. This is before his motion to dismiss was denied. Um, this is wrong. Um, that is wrong. His representation of Ty has nothing to do with his, or Vic has nothing to do with his notary book. Um, so, I don't think that's true, but whatever. It's because Ty pretty clearly committed the crime of fraud upon the court. They keep looking up the like felony fraud statute and talking about how this doesn't meet that threshold, which it's not even Sean's obligation to show that it meets that threshold right now. He's literally just making the accusation, and it's for the court to determine whether to pursue and investigate those accusations. But he's not accusing them of felony fraud, from what I understand. He's accusing them of what's called fraud upon the court, which is just a kind of general thing about submitting false documents, lying on the stand when it's not, like not quite perjury. Um, so, fraud on the court is a crime that has a very minimal punishment. Like I said, I think the punishment I saw for Texas was striking the offending material and possible sanctions against the lawyer. Nothing about jail time. I don't think it's even fines, technically. I think it sends you to a judicial sanctioning board or something. And maybe it's an appellate court. I think that's you get sent to whatever court issued that ruling ordering sanctions against them before. But I believe it's still a civil matter. I don't think it's a crime necessarily, the fraud upon the court. I don't know that it's... I think it's more like a speeding ticket than a proper crime. But still, it is a violation of state statutes, which is not great for a lawyer in a $5 million lawsuit. He doesn't need spectacular evidence because Ty has not denied the allegations and is refusing to turn over the documents that he's legally required to turn over. That should be able to, clear his name. Here's one where they we think that the same thing applies to them. So why can't people say that about them? You guys are saying that about the VAs. You've been calling them child molesters and sexual assaulters and all sorts of things for months. So I don't know what you're complaining about. You are doing exactly what you say that you're not allowed to do. Yeah. Say Sabat released this statement, and that's all he's going to say about it for months, and this whole thing is going to die off because nobody cares. Yeah. Lamone's not a prosecutor bringing charges guy. I don't think anybody asked for the case to be thrown out. I believe he asked for the affidavits to be thrown out. So I believe this statement is inaccurate and wrong. This is one of the damages, but the actual damage, I'm just going to keep hammering these in case some of these farmers actually watch the archives of this. The damage is done just by the creation of the fraudulent documents. The damage to the reputation of the Texas judiciary and the Texas Secretary of State is already done the instant a fraudulent document is created. But if you never present it to court, nobody would know. So it's really when you present fraudulent documents to the court, you have damaged the court itself. You have harmed the state of Texas. And maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they won't. They've really decided that Sean is stupid and that everything he does is stupid. Oh, hold on. I need to... Oh, wait. Hold on. I need to... Give me a second. I never put a link to this on... Oh, here it is. I only put a link to this on that reply to one of Greg's threads. I should probably... Let's see. Any interesting notifications? Nope. I should probably put it here. Drop that there and pin it. See, it's still all going. We're gonna play with this. What I personally think he's gonna do is some other BS. Mea culpa, like I said, mea culpa is the way to get out, but he's not gonna do that. Anyway, so like I said, those threads are going on. I'll probably make videos about those threads. Like I said, I don't want to try and stream a live thread going on. It's all re-clicking and up and down, and I'm not real happy about it. There's no evidence that Ty asked for payment and that the two lawyers refused to pay. There's no way they're not going to pay the $20 to get that notary book. From what I understand, Ty never responded when they asked him for the notary book. He didn't ask them to pay the fee, and I imagine they've already paid the fee if you can pay it remotely. Guy, I don't think you're a lawyer. Oh, we got us another call. I will be on an audio pause here. And we're back. That guy keeps changing his mind about if he wants me to do this job for him. It's crazy. I've never seen somebody change their mind so many times. I'm getting some kind of notifications here. Oh, we picked up some subscribers. Huzzah! We're at 4 subscribers. I believe they did resubmit Huber's testimony. Yeah. This is correct. This is also correct. I don't think those affidavits. I think they hurt Vic's case, if anything. I mean, they talk about how people have been calling him a pedophile for 20 years, so I don't really know how that helps his case, but okay. Yes, this is true. If you go to your friend's house when he's on vacation and take something you need, that's not up to what your friend thinks. That's a crime. That's theft. That's breaking and entering or unlawful entry, whatever. Whether your friend declines to press charges is a different story, but it's a crime. It doesn't matter. Like, no, you commit a crime. Yeah, there's no way Ty didn't know that was wrong. If you went on behalf of your parents to do some paperwork in another state and found out in the process you'd forgotten something and you cut some corners, it might as well not be a crime. Might as well not be. The whole point of all these document systems is to prevent cutting corners, because anywhere you can cut corners is somewhere you can fake a document. And if you're fake documents in the system, it fucks up the whole system, guys. Again, them not wanting to press charges does not make it not a crime. That's not how that works. Yes, false notarization is unlawful. That's no charges or no charges. It does not make a crime no longer a crime. Yes, something is a crime. That's a universal truth. If something was a crime or not, I guess. And you can just get into the morality of whether it was worth it to break the law. If you didn't do something, you're not guilty. But you did do it. You went into his house and took something. You might be not guilty. No, I mean, a jury might find you not guilty. Although I don't see how they wouldn't, or how they would, because you would plead an affirmative defense, I think, if you broke into your friend's house and took something that you really needed and your friend didn't really care and the prosecutor really wanted to try you. I think you would do an affirmative defense, say, yeah, I broke in and I took it. He doesn't care. If he doesn't care, why does the court care? I'm pretty sure that's how you would handle that. The law can't work the way you describe. It's impossible. The law is not a computer program. Hitting people... Wait, I missed this line. Hitting people on the street isn't illegal by default? No. No, if you punch somebody in the face on the street, it's a crime. If 2 people get into a fight on the street, it's almost always treated as a crime by the police from both angles. If it's like a fight, if it's not one person jumping the other. If you set up a little ring on the street and you start fighting it out, you're going to get arrested. Oh, hey, cool. Well, we're just going to try not to show those. We're going to show those as little as possible. They make a lot of personal attacks on Sean for, his physical traits, I'll say. And he's, as far as I can tell, a good and intelligent man that doesn't deserve that kind of personal vitriol. So I'm going to try not to show those as much as I can on here. This just basically tells you not to listen to the rest of the sentence. He says the hearing is not considered a trial. Amending the document that was a part of the Rule 11 agreement, I'm pretty sure is... But the amendment's not what violated the Rule 11 agreement. The filing at 12:15 a.m. when it was supposed to be filed by 11:59 p.m. is what violated the Rule 11 agreement. That has nothing to do with the amendment. Probably not that big a deal, the being a little bit late, but being late coupled with the fact that the document actually wasn't finished, coupled with the fact that Ty did not have a technical error, and there's evidence that he presented that he didn't have a technical error. I don't think the judge is gonna appreciate what looks like clear intent to deceive the court. Yes, he may have requested it in alternate, but there's no evidence to support that, and so until we see a document that says so, yeah. Oh, cool. This is them basically reading the blackface stream to us from last night. That's actually why Vic was called the Führer, their Legionnaire. Saying it's ridiculous to compare somebody to Hitler who used to go by the Führer, whew, that's not that smart. Now, apparently color of binders is relevant here, I guess. What? Did I miss something? Let me see. Oh, let me open that with Firefox. Oh, Firefox doesn't open PDFs, I guess. That's weird. What is this? Via hand delivery. Oh, let me see. Let me see if I can. Bear with me, I'm not super great at OBS yet. So let me see if I can flip this. Here. Okay. So this is the document they've got there. This is from today? Yesterday. This is from yesterday. I didn't see this yesterday. Alright, let me have... we provide you 4 binders along with a thumb drive. Oh, okay, they're turning over the files. I don't get what the big deal is about black binders. Is that just some kind of weirdness they're talking about here? I don't get it. I don't get it. Inadmissible ex-party ambush. Secret evidence? What are you talking about? Yes, save the lolly. Whoo, man, can you imagine if Lamone had filed something that was obviously fraudulent? Can you imagine how Stanvik and the Kiwi farmers would have reacted? Yeah, they would have gone fucking nuclear. They're right now talking about Sean should be put on charges for accusing them. Oh, you might not be able to see those there. I might have fixed it. Let me go back here. This is the paragraph of them. Yeah. If the defense had gotten caught doing this, it would be crazy. It would be absolutely nuts. Don't pick a side. I'd need to talk to a lawyer, but I imagine that before a hearing, making sure the judge has copies of all the evidence seems pretty reasonable to me. I don't. I assume since it wasn't a motion to add or anything, they were just sending the evidence that's already been admitted, and they're just making it easily accessible for the judge. If I understand what's going on here correctly. Yeah, that probably. Since they're the ones being like accused of stuff, I would guess that those are the people they talk to. So let's see. Bum, bum, bum. No, they didn't. I mean, they sort of implied that, but they couldn't have known that, so it's not a factual statement. Not defamatory. It's kind of a hugbox, guys. There's a bunch of y'all that are inventing up crazy stories to explain how Ty isn't breaking the rules. Oh, there's the inevitable infighting. I don't know what this current track record is. Nick seems to tell them that the filings are bad, and they just believe that the filings are bad. I don't know. I don't know what the premise is there. Monica's affidavit is actual malice. No. Common consensus in the zeitgeist. So I don't, like I said, all the lawyers I've met seem to be pretty cool, but I don't know. Maybe they were all dishonest. I believe there's enough dishonest lawyers that I'm not inclined to give them the benefit of the doubt too much. Yeah, 4 binders really is not that much stuff, and you just filed a 1,200-page filing, so I don't know. You're the ones that are suing over hundreds of tweets, allegedly. Strongly disliking Vic has nothing to do with the case that Vic is making here. This is true. The state presses charges all the time without a complaining victim. They don't have to, but they do sometimes. This is especially true. What's relevant are the sanctions against Ty and the judge looking poorly on Ty. I don't think the judge is going to believe a fucking word Ty says from here on out because he got caught lying. Now, if Vic wins, they're still going to get rolls. I might have missed this one. This guy was completely correct here. Vic loses, he's never going to work again. If Vic wins, he's never going to work again. If he wins, all these people are still going to get their jobs. The people that hired them don't care about this lawsuit. The plaintiff absolutely does need to prove actual malice. This is absolutely fucking true. I don't think that they are going to be phased out and their calls won't be returned. I don't see why it would be. They haven't cost anybody anything that matters. Yeah, that's it. That's it, guy. Ty just wanted extra hands on deck. So that's why he brought in outside counsel into a $5 million lawsuit one day before the hearing. Yeah, that's it. He just needs a little extra help. So is this malpractice? I'm gonna have to, maybe I'll screenshot this because I'm curious about whether this would be malpractice, like an admission of malpractice. Because it's basically saying that, oh, well, we could have done better, but we didn't have time, and the whole basis of malpractice is that you didn't do the job a decent lawyer would have done, right? Oh, hello, Nathan. Yeah, Nathan, I don't... Casebook, are you talking... Is that going back to the law school stuff? I don't know, man. Like, I could... I mean, if you've read a lot of legal references, maybe, but... I wouldn't think it would get into the books for the TCPA part exactly. I would think it would be the gross incompetence and overt criminality of the defense lawyer. Like the submitting false notarizations to the court in a $5 million defamation case is the thing that, because I'm sure there's a lot of these defamation cases that are pretty comparable to each other on the like TCPA grounds and things like that. But I think the things like being a piece of shit is defamatory. The fact that he went on YouTube, because the sanctioning against Ty is what I think would make it into the history of the legal profession. I think it's what depends on if Ty gets sanctioned. What he's sanctioned for will be the thing that makes it into the books. I think his sanctioning is going to be where it's relevant for historical sake in the legal profession. Because you're right, because at a glance, it looks like a pretty clear slap lawsuit. So he's probably going to just lose on the TCPA part. So that's not probably going to be super relevant legally. I don't know their little nicknames for everybody. No, I mean, it's going to be interesting, but it's not going to be... They're not bringing... Employment law... Defamation... The defamation case that has nothing to do with employment law. I mean, I guess are they gonna argue about the Jamie and Monica being agents of Funimation? Because I mean, I'm pretty sure nothing in those contracts says that when they speak on Twitter, it's they're speaking for Funimation. Yeah, this is probably true. Vic probably didn't fire them. That's probably true. Yeah, and it doesn't mean they're not gonna be fired. Corporate transactional practice. I'm inclined to agree with Greg that Ann Sue here is here to protect BHBH. I think he's there to protect them from malpractice as best he can and minimize the malpractice damages that are probably going to be coming. See here again, they call Sean the Fuhrer, even though that's Vic's nickname. It's funny, they really don't want Vic to be labeled as the Fuhrer, even though he called himself that for a long time. He didn't... Again, guy, he did not fuck up and correct a mistake. He committed fraud and then tried to hide the fraud. The judge is almost certainly not created falsely notarized documents. Yeah, a partner at a law firm saying he fucked up because because they haven't read the rules in a while. That sounds like malpractice to me. I feel like if I was a lawyer, I'd be about as mad as Mike over at Quest Authority is, because, yeah, that would make me mad if I was a lawyer. This is pretty reasonable. But no, you need to say fuck up. But I took it back, and it's an easy fix. That's not how that works, man. I should have pulled over the book off the shelf and read it. There's no book on the fact that you don't notarize documents saying the person was there in front of you before you do it. Can I please have this one do-over? No, 20-year veteran partners at law firms probably don't get do-overs that often. Lemon Hitler now. He looks a bit unhinged for forcing paperwork issues into a hearing. Man. Oh, this is rough. Breach of contract, tortious interference. The defamation is the core of the TI, though, so they got to prove that first. Yeah, that is correct. I don't know of any way they can add Sabat into this lawsuit at this stage. This is true, but it wasn't a mistake. It was a fraud. See, but you guys are misunderstanding here. Things like presenting fake documents to the court. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that fucks up cases. I don't know how else to explain that to you guys. This is technically true, but it's such a weak argument. It'd be crazy to bring in outside counsel to try to make that argument in Texas, because Texas law is designed to make it real easy to classify people as independent contractors, being an at-will state. So from my knowledge of Texas employment law it's going to be a heavy push to get them classified as full-on employees. And even if they are employees, unless they're employees whose duties would require them to speak with some kind of authority on Funimation's behalf, I don't even think that would end up mattering anyway. Because, if a cashier from McDonald's goes out and says, oh, this other cashier at McDonald's, punched me in the face or did whatever, that's not McDonald's saying that happened, and they're definitely employees. They're not independent contractors. They're employees. So it'd be crazy to bring in a whole second law firm just to deal with that. The court suffered the damage. Yeah, this is pretty brutal. This whole post is brutal and right on the nose. It says, the undersigned, Oh, here's the scenario. Here's the Kiwi Farms laying out the malpractice defense for fraud. Several paralegals and juniors feverishly working. One of them raises, would this be better notarized? What do you think? And drops the text into the notary form pile in case. Someone else says, we don't need that, but fails to remove the prepped documents. Deadline approaches and someone else notices, hey, Ty, there's stuff in here that needs a notary stamp. Is that okay if you stamp it? Ty, under deadline pressure, in thinking that there's the only case, sure, I guess. See, no, that's not how notaries work. If he does that regularly, his whole firm could get investigated for any document they've notarized. Like, you're basically saying that he regularly turns in fraudulent documents because you don't have a pile of documents that you just notarize. You just stamp them. You just go through the pile and stamp them all. That's not how a notary works. That is absolutely not how that works. Yeah, see, thank you, techno primitivist. The secretary could cause rejected applications. Performing any notarization when the person for whom the notarization performed did not personally appear before the notary at the time it is executed. Yeah. We don't know that, but even Ty has not actually stated that they were present. Why we're under no obligation to assume no shenanigans because Ty has not said that there were no shenanigans. This is one of their big go-tos. Wow, that's not how the real world works, and judges understand that in real law offices, things like this happen. I mean, yeah, I imagine to a degree for things like typos and maybe a messed up footnote or citation or something here or there. But, I mean, you're talking about outright creating fraudulent documents. Yes, Solid Cloud. It's almost certainly going to be appealed unless the plaintiffs just yield and withdraw and do everything they can to get out of it because they completely torched the entire case and they want to minimize sanctions. Yeah, you can tell how focused Ty has been on that other case by him going on Nick's streams and tweeting when they were, finishing up his filing. Again, you're basically accusing him of malpractice to avoid a different malpractice claim. Nobody cares whether you get a feeling of malice or deception. I don't think the term feeling of malice or deception are legal principles. Any lawyers that want to correct me on that, feel free. Actually, I'm gonna screen cap this one because I want to make sure Greg sees that. Because, woo! Oh, hold on. No. Let me make sure I get the whole thing. Okay, there we go. Jesus Christ. I get no feeling. Oh, feeling of malice. Woo, goddamn. All right, so let's see. Claiming a notary wasn't present for notarization is such a common chicken shit move. Yeah, they were personally harmed because it's their case, and nobody's asking the Secretary of State to investigate it right now. Sean asked the judge to investigate it in a way. If Ty loses his notary public for lying to the court, he may have trouble winning legal cases. Oh, did I miss this? Ty made a fraudulent notarized version and just kept it around just in case. Goddamn, 3 more pages of this. I'm probably gonna have to take a break here in a little bit. Yeah, it actually is Gamergate 3.0. It became that when they named it AnimeGate. Yeah, okay, it's not a crime. We're gonna pretend that it's not a crime. Yes, that's a good point, and that would be why Ty's firm was sanctioned a few years ago for a similar thing because they got in trouble and they were supposed to clean it up. That's why it's probably not going to work for them this time. Stupid enough to go after Nick. If this goes forward past the TCPA stage, actually I think Nick's probably got to face that deposition either way. Because once Discovery kicks back in after TCPA is over, if they don't get dismissed, they're gonna have to fight over the attempt to subpoena Nick. And if they go to sanctions, then they're definitely going to try to subpoena him because the GoFundMe is going to be part of the sanctions discussion. They fell for the bait. Oh, they ate the bait. Oh, they ate that bait. Good. Swallowed it deep. Okay, so they think people are being unfair to Ty, even though Ty's committed crimes and released some really terrible filings. Why does why does it have a bed and breakfast? I mean, that looks like a placeholder website to me with the Laura Ipsum Dolor text there. It's interesting to note, I don't know, I imagine y'all are up on it, but the Huber affidavit does not directly claim that Sabat was the one running the casting couch. Incompetence is not a defense for Ty here. You guys don't really seem to understand. Yeah, he knew it was illegal. He signed a form when he became a notary saying that he understood that it was illegal to forge notary stamps. Then, Solid Cloud, why did he not just turn over the book when it was requested and make the defenses look like douchebags? Anyway, they're really sticking with Ty. I thought they were turning on him, but it looks like Nick has been able to rally them mostly to his side with some pretty good disinformation. This guy clearly is new to the farms. Let's see how long he's been here. Oh, really? He's been here for 6 months and he's just... You go read some other threads, man. The DSP threads have to have whole threads broken off just because of tangential conversations all the time. Regular conversation stuff. Oh, Sean's gonna need therapy after this case, apparently. Yeah, I don't think so. A lot of pressure. I think he enjoys taking down slap lawsuits, and I would guess that's why that's his specialty, and that's why he's one of the leading lawyers in Texas about it. And I feel like one of the more prominent people that argue slap cases, which are inherently pretty public cases for the most part. That's one of the P's in slap is public, after all. I don't feel like he feels that much extra pressure. And he's got four other defense attorneys backing him up, which probably doesn't happen. Like, he has other defense teams supporting his position. Yeah, I mean, I guess, but it's a lie, and it's not really gonna stick. None of this is all PR stuff right here, and Funimation and Toei and all these voice actors, they know how to handle this. You just shut up, and it goes away, and nobody cares. The more people like the Kiwi farmers attack them over it, the more regular people see that it's just trolls, and they kind of just don't pay attention. They just kind of tune it out, from what I've observed myself. Oh, they think Nick's hammering has made Funimation scared. Yeah, Nick threatening Sony with artillery scandals. That's Sony is going to come after him if he pushes them hard enough, and Nick's not going to like that. The fun. Vic is suing Funimation directly, and he's not suing Sabbat. So, how is Sabbat using them as a shield? Like, Vic isn't suing them over what Sabbat's fully did. He's suing them over their tweets that Sabbat had nothing to do. Yeah, Monica does sound exhausted and weary because she's been harassed for months already. Yeah, I don't think Funimation is going to abandon these VAs just because some trolls said some shit. Hell, Sony didn't even fire all the people whose emails got leaked, and some of those emails were real questionable. Yeah. What defendant? Is Sabbat a defendant? Sabbat never said anything publicly, so why would he publicly disclaim words? You're the one that said that he said something in public, so good job there. That's actually not true, technically. The board is beholden to shareholders. But the shareholders are perfectly, like, Sony is perfectly capable of telling Funimation to fight this lawsuit as much as they want. And, you know, Funimation didn't start the trouble. Sony, in a way, started the trouble, but... This also, guys, this lawsuit only costs them money if Vic doesn't have to pay legal fees for the defense. I'm gonna skip over hateful slurs whenever I see them as best I can. Let's see. Yeah, this is all possible stuff. There's no evidence of that. Nobody's claiming that, so I don't see why you would consider it. Actually, you're kind of wrong here. I mean, it would be a huge PR firestorm because you fired like the entire Dragon Ball cast, and Dragon Ball's, I think, still the most popular anime franchise on the planet. And like Sabat has been a part of Dragon Ball for 20 years, 25 years, something like that. So firing the voice actors from Dragon Ball is way more have a PR hit than whatever this is. I don't know. Does Funimation do My Hero Academia? Because Sabat's also All Might in that, and changing him out, and that would also probably cause a bit of a stir. I'm not gonna post this. I don't know. I don't believe this is a confirmed DM or tweet, so I'm not gonna display it in a way that's readable. I don't think that unverified things like tweets and text messages should be broadcast. So I'm going to try to glance over that. You shouldn't be readable in my 480p. But Jane, going forward, I'm going to try and just skip over those as best I can. Yeah, they're not obligated to actually do an investigation. Yeah, he's not going to win, so it's kind of irrelevant. No, he's never going to work for Funimation ever again, and no Japanese company will ever hire Vic, because everything I've ever heard about Japanese companies is that they hate litigation more than anything really possible, and that once somebody starts trying to bring litigation against Japanese companies, they basically get blackballed out of whatever industry they're in. That would be a big part of why, like Japanese workers really don't file like lawsuits against their employers. They don't have quite the same protections, from what I understand, and the whisper network that gets you blacklisted in the industries in Japan can be particularly brutal. So yeah, Vic's never working in mainstream anime again. Nobody's going to hire him after he's sued Funimation for millions of dollars over a tweet. Yeah, he's done. He's done. Let's see. It's not about how Sony can take Vic's side. It's Sony can save itself a lot of money and earn a lot of PR points. Yeah, their PR points are for fighting the sex pest who has sex with prostitutes and his very, very young fans. Slander, I guess. Defamation, however you want to phrase it. Just insults. We're not going to cover that. And I guess we have reached the end of the run here, guys. Closing Funimation is jerk cheap. Yeah, I mean, they could, but just, do you know how much they would have to pay the lawyers to do the paperwork on that? That would cost more than Vic's whole lawsuit. Paying the lawyers to do all that shit. So, yeah, no. Alright, guys. So, we've reached the end here. That took, so much longer than I expected it to take. I feel like this was a fairly successful inaugural stream. I'm going to have to see about why my video quality was so low. I don't know if it's a timer from the amount of time, I've been live. Like, because like I said, I only started this channel 2 days ago, and there's a 24-hour lock on streaming, so I don't know if it's tied to that or if it's tied to like an OBS setting or something I'm missing. So I'll have to look into it, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and turn the stream off here. I'm going to try and figure out how to archive it as a video so I can upload it as well for posterity and whatnot. But this has been our initial stream of the Threadnought.com shop, where I am trying to preserve and get out some information related to the Threadnought for those who, really just don't have the time to open a million tabs and rummage through all this stuff, and you just kind of want a little bit of a summary about what's going on different factors. Anybody that hasn't watched the video on the main page that's all echoey, I'm probably going to be going through and covering Quest Authority's live tweets. I'll wait for him to finish one up generally, and I'll cover the whole thing. Same thing for what's his name? Half-Cocked Law? I don't know. He does the same thing. There's a few guys that live tweet Blackface Lawyers streams. I might do some of those. I'll probably make a response video or two to some of Nick's streams if some of them are particularly interesting. I'll probably figure out how to record one of his streams, and we'll talk about his response to this new lawyer. I might even dig out his stream from last night and the night before, because I'm sure it's really bad arguing. Anyway, guys, so that's it for the forum. Let's see. Before I go, let's see. Oh, here we go. Oh, look here, Nick's just going. He's not caring about the case anymore. Nick's just going for smear the voice actors, ruin their reputations. I don't know where he's getting this. I'm not going to show that DM because I have no way of verifying that it's a true DM. But I hope it's a false DM because Nick's going to get the shit suit out of him. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to call it. I don't think. Yeah, it looks like Mike's not done with his thread about the whole thing. I'm gonna try and get in. These are the guys I was talking about. You should follow all these guys. Mark Whipple, Hulfcocked. That's okay. Half cocked law. Mike Dunford. If you're here, you almost certainly know about Greg and the Threadnought, obviously. Ooh, Nick. Nick is just being real relevant today. Yeah, I gotta agree here. Um, So it's important to remember too. Nick already said he probably wasn't going to stream this weekend because he's going to go to the some convention or whatever. So Nick's already bought himself an excuse to not have to deal with this shit for this weekend, because I think he knows that it's going to be real hard for him to spin this in a way that doesn't turn the farms or Ty against him. So like I said, I want to let these guys finish up their threads before I start covering them, because going through an active Twitter thread is not great, guys. I'm sure some of y'all have tried to do it, so it's not great. So let's see. Pope Hat's always worth a follow and a read. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna call it. Thanks for talking the handful of people that showed up. Keep an eye on my Twitter account. This is the one I'm going to try to use to spread information as best I can. And like I said, I'm going to try and record stuff. I want to help make it easier for people to document this in video form when... I think there's going to be a lot of YouTube documentaries about this at the end of the day. So I'm going to try and get some of this information out there so it's more easily... dug up by future people. Anyway, thanks, guys. I guess subscribe, whatever. I don't know how often I'm going to do stuff, but follow me on Twitter. Follow Greg on Twitter. And just keep an eye out for anything new going on here. And I don't actually know how to turn... Does YouTube turn it off when I turn it